Hey, tribe, what's up? Oh, wait a second. Okay. almost forgot a, almost forgot about the good old mic. That does remind me. One time I went live and I had a mic propped up against the wall. I totally forgot. So that was a good one. Nobody could hear me. I actually think people could hear me because I ended up talking loud, so the mic did pick it up a little bit far away. But but anyway, that was that was a funny one. Uh, Chad, you need to put the mic down. But anyway, we got what's the name of this? How I manifested $20,000. This is a live that I really wanted to do because I haven't forgot. We are going through the science of getting rich, but we're not going to go through that today. This is a good old example of how to manifest money. Okay. And it's actually what I love about this example. I'm going to give you my example. We're going to dive into The Invisible Power by Genevieve B. Reed. If I know I'm pronouncing her name wrong, at least her last name is not pronounced that way, but I actually forget how it's really pronounced. But if you go inside The Invisible Power in chapter 9, she really gives a very simple method that how she manifested 20K. Now, with her example is really powerful because when you're talking about the invisible power, the invisible power is wrote in the early 1900s, my friends. So she manifested $20,000 in the early 1900s. I think today it is around $500,000. So she really manifested $500,000 in about a 6-week time. So I'm having trouble with my computer here. It's not charging. I don't want it to go dead. I'm going to read some snippets for you. So just give me a second. Bear with me. As long as it starts charging, I don't care. There it goes. I can't move. Can't move the cord. It has like a little short in it. Apple products, by the way. But anyway, let's get rocking and rolling. And one of the examples what we're going to dive into really fast. And what I mean by this is that her example is so powerful that you can you can mimic her example and make it yours. All you need to do is just kind of filter in your own things you want, how much money you want, but you can kind of really use her example. You kind of use it as an outline for yourself. And it's really simpler than even Neville Goddard. Even if you follow Neville Goddard, and a lot of people talk about living in the yin and stuff like that. Lots of times the issue with living in the yin, most of the time people take it to the extreme. They really struggle with the end because they've never experienced the end. So that's why it's hard to manifest things when you kind of in a Neville Goddard way, because a lot of people, they don't really teach Neville Goddard authentically. I don't sit there and say I teach it any better, but just from my own experience, sometimes living in the end doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because it's too extreme. You're too far at the end that you don't know what the end really is. It's hard for you to comprehend the end. It seems fake to you. When things seem fake, that brings up contradiction, my friends. And that's why it stops your manifestations. That's why you have trouble manifesting money, whatever you want, because it's just not real for you. You don't believe it. You understand? But anyway, let's dive into Genevieve, the invisible power here. And remember, with the invisible power, you can actually get this book from Amazon. If you go to Amazon, it's in the Power Wealth Classics. The Power Wealth Classics has 3 books. It has The Invisible Power here, it has The Science of Getting Rich, and it has The Science of Getting Rich by Napoleon Hill. So it's 3 books in one. These are my all-time favorite books when we look at success and manifesting. Okay, hands down, these are my all-time favorite. But anyway, let's dive into The Invisible Power. Only chapter 9. Okay, but chapter 9 is where she really gets nitty gritty how to manifest $20,000. And remember, she manifested $20,000 in the early 1900s. Today it would be, I did the math before. I don't know if it's a half a million, 300,000, something like that. So for her to kind of paraphrase really quick, to get to the point really quick, with Genevieve, she wanted to manifest $20,000 because she wanted to study with Thomas Troward. Now, Thomas Troward at the time was the number one person in manifesting. Okay, he was the number one guy to study with in manifesting and mental. During their time frame, they called it mental science. They didn't really call it manifesting, law of attraction, and stuff like that. Like Thomas Troward was the OG during that time frame. Okay. And the only thing with Thomas Troward is he didn't mentor people personal. Okay. He wrote manuscripts, he wrote the door lectures, and so on and so on. But his stuff was very, very esoteric. He really combined like Bible and biblical stuff, more of an esoteric view. He didn't teach religion. He taught the power was within you, and he backed it up by scripture. Okay. Now his stuff is very hard to read, my friends. Okay. Like when you kind of dive into Thomas Troward, I mean, it's not it's not, when you dive into the Edinburgh lectures, the door lectures and stuff like that, it's not, I mean, it takes some time to go through his stuff. I mean, it really, really does. His stuff it's a mental loop. You read a paragraph and you just walk off and you just flipping, it's kind of like a brain fuck, when you read his stuff. But anyway, she wanted to be mentored with Thomas Troward, personally mentored by him, when he didn't mentor you personally at all. Okay. And so she was taking a big risk. But at the time, Thomas Troward lived in England. She lived far away. So she came up with this price. She needed $20,000. So that would pay for her ticket, her train ticket to get to England, to basically rent a place, study with him for 1 year. So she needed $20K. Okay. In her mind, $20K was unbelievable. She didn't know how in the world she would manifest $20K. She says this in here when we read it. So basically, she didn't struggle with the how. Okay. The biggest thing today, and if you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. The biggest thing you struggle with an entrepreneur, like if I wanted to manifest $20,000, $30,000, my brain goes into analytical mode. My brain goes into how. Then my brain starts to try to figure out the how. Well, I got this company over here. I got this. I got YouTube over here. I got my ecosystem over here. I got my stand store over here. I manage these websites over here. So my mind goes into how it's going to happen. Okay, my friends. My mind goes into, I just need to make this many sales to make 30,000. The issue with that is I'm standing in my own way. I'm blocking my own manifestations. I'm blocking the money because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not just letting it go and letting it come to me. Okay. This is what Genevieve explains. Like she didn't struggle with that at all because $20,000 at her time is like $500,000. So that's why I bring up $500,000. Like for her, it was like she did not have a clue how to manifest this money. Okay. It's like if you want to manifest $500,000 in 1 month, like you probably wouldn't have a clue how that type of money would come to you. But the essence I want you to walk away with before we dive into the story is you end up letting it go. You understand? You detach from it because you don't know how in the world it's going to happen for you. Okay. That's the biggest thing is that's what I mean. We stand in our own way, baby. But anyway, let's kind of dive into this. Let me see. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I just want to read the most powerful paragraphs. Uh, what she really did. That's why I kind of gave you a long synapse of what's going on, why she needed the money. Okay, so let's start off here really fast. And she wrote actually pretty good from her for her time frame, my friends. So listen to this really fast. From the Edinburgh lectures, I had read something about the law of attraction, and from the chapter of causes and conditions, I had gleaned a vague idea of visualizing. So she's talking about Thomas Troward right now. She's digging into all his materials. That's what led her to want to be mentored by him. This is again, Thomas Troward during this time period was the OG. He was the top person you wanted. His material was the top person during that time frame. Okay. So she's grasping a vague idea of visualizing, manifesting. So she said, so every night before going to sleep, I made a mental picture of the desired $20,000 that she wanted. So at night, she's laying down at nighttime. She goes inside her imagination and she can see this $20,000. This is exactly what she does, guys. I want you to walk away with this. Okay, 10 minutes into this live. This is what we're going to really talk about. This is what she does. So I'll back up here. So every night before going to sleep, I made a mental picture of the desired $20,000. $21,000 bills were counted over each night in my bedroom. So each night in her bedroom, she lays down, go to sleep. She counts $20,000, but she counts $1,000 bills in her sleep. Okay. But I want you to pay attention to something. She didn't loop it. She did this one time, guys. She didn't loop it like everybody on YouTube tells you to fucking do. Loop it, Chad. They teach Never Goddard and they say, go to bed 30 minutes before you go to sleep and just sit there and loop it, loop it, loop it, loop it, loop it. Okay. That stuff doesn't work, my friends, because all it does is make you obsessed. You get obsessed with it. You get obsessed with the technique. You get obsessed with anything that runs from you. Think about your SP for a second. You can't manifest your SP because you're obsessed with them. Okay. What is another people can feel that energy, so they stay away from you. That's the same reason why money stays away from you. So listen, okay. Let me find where I was. So each night in my bedroom, okay, so she counted the $20,000. She had $21,000 bills were counted over each night in my bedroom. And then with the idea of more emphatically impressing my mind with the fact that this $20,000 was for the purpose of going to England and studying with Thomas Troward. So listen to me. Listen what she did here. She wanted $20,000, but in her imagination, she stated why she wanted the $20,000, what the $20,000 was going to be used for. You understand? She's making it so real in her imagination. It's just not made up. You're not just going straight to the end. You have no flipping, you know what I mean? People tell you go straight to the end, and most of the time that's where you struggle. You go too far to the end. Okay, you go off in La La Land. Okay, we'll talk about this in a second. So she gave it a purpose, why she wanted the money. Okay. The purpose made it really strong for her in her imagination because it made it real for her. Okay. That's why I want you to walk away with. Okay. So to continue on, she wanted this 20K so she can go travel to England, live in England for a year so she could study personally with Troward. Then she said, I wrote out my picture. She wrote out in her imagination. And she said, I saw myself buying my steamer ticket, walking up and down the ship's deck from New York to London, and finally saw myself accepted as Troward's pupil. Okay. Listen to what she did, my friend. She didn't go straight to the end. like people uh, who teach Never Goddard. She didn't go straight to the end. Okay, she made it real. Okay, listen. This is why I say when you go straight to the end, this is why straight to the end don't work. If she would have said, I want this money, I go straight to the end. Straight to the end means she's already studying it with Thomas Troward. Okay, that would have caused so much contradiction in her mind. She probably would have even manifested a nickel. Okay, because listen, during this time, she's traveling to talk to Thomas Troward, but Thomas Troward could have denied her. Okay, she was taking a big risk to go there because he didn't train people personally. He didn't mentor people personally. He wrote his manuscripts, wrote his books, and that's what he did. That's what he focused on. Okay. So, but listen, what made it real, this is what now talking about Never Goddard, this is what Never Goddard calls the bridge of incidents. Okay. This is what speeds up your manifestations, is because listen to what she did. I'll give you my own experience too here in a little bit. She wanted $20,000. In her imagination, she stated what she wanted the $20,000 for. Okay, she made it real. The 20,000 is for because I want to travel to England. I need all this money is going to be my expenses there, expenses living there, all your living expenses living there for a year, and even more because I want to study with Thomas Troward. That's what the money's for. Okay. Now, when she went in her imagination, she did this one time, guys. She didn't loop it. Okay, she talks about this later on in the chapter. She didn't loop it. She did it one time. She laid down in her bed at night. Okay. Let me take out some money here. Okay. So this is how you do this stuff. Okay. I'm in Thailand, by the way. So I got some Thai baht and I got some dollar bills and stuff like that. Okay. All types of money. I got Vietnamese money in here. But anyway, when you go inside your imagination, you count money. You want to hold it how you would naturally hold it. Okay. Sometimes it's good to kind of smell it. We all know what money smells like. You know what I mean? Money has that unique smell that brings in your feeling state that you're holding money. Now, what she said, like now for her, she counted it like this, like $1,000 bills. She counted 1,000, 2,000, so forth. For me, I don't count money like that. For me, that's not real. For me, how I would count money is I'm holding it like this. So I'm counting it like this: 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. You know what I mean? $7,000. Okay. But I continue on to 20. But this is how I would actually really hold it. So inside your imagination, you got to do how you would actually hold money, my friends. Okay. That's the one thing I want to point out. Okay. So, because that's making it real for me. It's what I would really do. It's how I would really hold it. It's how I would really act. Okay. So, but the next thing she did was the bridge of incidents. The bridge of incidents was real. Okay. She didn't go straight to the end. She basically went to the next phase. The next phase, once she had this money, the next phase was, well, I got to buy a steamer ticket. Now I'm using old language because that's what she called it in the book. Remember, the book's written in the early 1900s. So she bought the steamer ticket. She could see herself on the boat from New York to London. Okay, she's walking up and down the deck. She's there the whole, I don't know how many hours it was. She's there the whole time. She's in that feeling state. Okay, she gets off the boat in London and she sees herself having a conversation with Thomas Troward to try to talk Thomas Troward into, I want to be your first pupil. I want to study with you personally, my friends. I know my eyes are all over. You have to apologize. I'm looking over here, looking up there. You know what I mean? But that's the bridge of incidents. But that bridge of incidents is real. It's real for her. Okay, she didn't jump straight to the end. It's like, in my opinion, when you jump too far to the end, it's not real for you anymore. You understand what I'm saying, friends? Okay, if she would have jumped straight to the end and said, I'm already training with Thomas Troward, her mind would have struggled. So that's why she just went to the next phase, basically the next step. How did I get there? She didn't go into how she got the money. She skipped over that part. She had no clue how she could get the money. So she skipped over the how. But in her imagination, she already had the money. She counted the money as if it was really hers. Then she used the money as how she would really use it to to get to London, get to England, and study with Thomas Troward. That's simple, my friends. You can take that and mimic it as your own. Okay. But that's why I'm bringing up Never Goddard a lot, because I'm not saying people, I mean, I guess I'm saying people teach Never Goddard wrong. But what I'm saying, sometimes living in the end, people jump too far. They go too far to the end. Okay. They go too far to the end that it's not real for them anymore. Okay. Let me give you an example really fast. Okay. This happened to me a couple years ago. I wanted to manifest. I live in Thailand. I've been in Thailand, going back and forth to Thailand for about 4 years now. I go back and forth between Thailand and the United States. I go back to visit my family. And I got tired of going to Thailand on tourist visas and stuff like that. I couldn't get the retirement visa because I was under 50. So a couple years ago, I didn't want the tourist visas no more. I had to go home because my niece was getting married at the time, so she wanted me to come to the wedding. So I was in Thailand. I went home, but I set this intention, and I said, you know what? When I go back to Thailand, I'm going back to Thailand on a 1 year visa. Okay. That way, for me, staying 1 year is perfect, because I stay 1 year, go home, visit family, I come back. Okay. That's how I do it. Okay. So I set this intention that I didn't know what visa I was going to be on. I just said and stated, I'm going to go back after the wedding. I'm going back to Thailand on a 1 year visa. Okay. This is my intention. This is what I did in my imagination. I copied her. Okay. I didn't go straight to the end. Okay. This is what I did. This is my imaginal scene. This is how simple my imaginal scene was. Is I said I'm going back on the 1 year visa. Okay. Again, in real life, I've been to the Bangkok airport many, many times. Okay. I know what the airport looks like. I know the walking, you have to walk really far. Once you land, you have to walk really far through the Bangkok airport to get to the Thai immigration. Okay. That was my imaginal scene. That's how simple this shit is. My imaginal scene was me landing in Thailand, landing in Bangkok. I'm walking that long stretch to go through Thai immigration. The line is huge, depending upon like when you come and when you arrive. I'm standing in line. I'm going through all the flipping line, all the corners and everything else like that. And now I see myself in my imagination. I go up. I say Swadakap, say hi. Usually the immigration officers don't really talk to you that much. I don't think they're allowed to. They're more serious. So I hand him my passport. I hand him my visa, which is a 1 year visa. And they look at me. They're doing their thing. They're stamping my passport, writing the date on there. Then I walk out. That was my imaginal scene, my friends. It was like the bridge of incidents. I didn't go straight to the end too far. I didn't go straight to the end that I was already in Thailand with a visa, a 1 year visa. I did the same thing Genevieve did. I kind of created a bridge of incidents. Like, what's real to you? Listen to this. What's real to you? How are you going to handle it? What's step one? What's step two? And I went through those steps. And guess what happened? I set this intention. Okay. Anytime I thought about Thailand, I went in my imagination. That's what I thought about. Okay. Then I develop an affirmation. Anytime I got worried out and fear creeped in, I said, I'm going back to Thailand on a 1 year visa. Guess what? When I actually sat down and booked my flight, when I actually sat down, I had to file my visa. I couldn't wait no longer. I had to file my visa. When I sat down to file my visa, Thailand literally just came out with 2 days prior. They just came out with a 5 year visa. Okay. The 5 year visa I qualified for. So then I did all the paperwork they needed for that 5 year visa. And I got approved in 1 day. And I guess when I came to Thailand, listen to this. When I came to Thailand on a 5 year visa, I can stay in Thailand for 1 year. Then I got to leave and come back. You know what, my friends? But I created it so real because I've been there. I've been to Thailand. I've been to the Bangkok airport. I could really feel how it was to walk through the airport because I've done it a million times. This is the same thing. I think it's a little bit blurry now. This is the same thing Genevieve did. She did, and I know I sound like a robot. She didn't go so far to the end, my friend. Like I said, if you go too far to living in the end, like Never Goddard, what's stopping you is because it's not real no more. What's causing contradiction is it's too much outside of you. Okay. It's like if you want to be a multimillionaire, but you're not even a millionaire yet, or you don't even make $100,000 a year yet. It's too much outside of you. It's too far ahead of you. You gotta shrink it down a little bit. Okay. Because you don't know how you would really live if you're a multimillionaire. You don't even know how you would really act if you're a multimillionaire. Okay. Pretty much when you're a millionaire, you act dead around money. You don't care. Like you don't get excited around money because you got enough. The excitement is gone. Okay. You're grateful. That's the new word. You're not excited around it. You're just grateful that you have it. That's the feeling state you're giving off. But let's continue on. Okay. So I gave you her snapshot, but what did she say? Okay, let me go over here. Now listen to this. This process was repeated every morning and every evening, always impressing more and more fully upon my mind Troward's memorized statement. Now, this is the affirmation she was telling herself. She was telling herself this. It's one of my favorite affirmations with Thomas Troward. Is my mind is a center of divine operation. Divine operation means expansion, expansion into more. That's what she was telling herself. She was just digging deeper into this affirmation. Okay. So she did it morning and night. So like she said, she basically said breakfast and bedtime, but basically when she went to bed, she did her imaginal. She counted her money, did her imaginal scene. Listen to this one time. She's not looping it. Then when she woke up in the morning, she counted the money in her imagination, did her imaginal scene. Then she got up and continued on to her day. When she went on through her day, she's kind of thinking about kind of digesting this affirmation from Thomas Troward. Okay. Then she continues. She said, I endeavored to keep this statement in the back of my consciousness all the time with no thought in my mind as how the money might be obtained. Listen, she basically just banished the how. She just basically said, I want this. This is why I want this money. This is why I need the money. This is what I want to do. I don't know how it's going to come to me at all. And she just focused on this is what she wants. Probably, listen to this, probably the reason why there was no thought of the avenues through which the money might reach me was because I could not possibly imagine where the $20,000 would come from. So I simply held on my thoughts steady and let the power of attraction find its own ways and means to me. So I mean, I kind of already said it because I've read this many times, but she said it in her own words. It's like she didn't basically she said she didn't struggle with the how. She didn't struggle with how the money was going to come. So because she had no clue how in her mind she couldn't even fathom how she could get the money. So the only thing she could rely on was the stuff she was learning from Thomas Troward. Okay. And basically when you do this, to kind of share a nugget with you is when you just let go of the how, you're letting 1,000 different ways how the money might come to you. That's what's happening, my friends. Okay. When you just let go, like that's why I gave you before I gave you an example of being an entrepreneur. And sometimes an entrepreneur it can be a pro and a con. Sometimes with a con, with manifesting, it can be a con if you're an entrepreneur because you got multiple streams of income. And when you're talking about 20K, 30K, your mind is like, oh, all I got to do is make this many sales. And so you get attached to like one avenue, only one way that money might come to you. You're attached to it, but you're blocking all the other ways it can come to you. So that's why it means you're blocking your own manifestations. Okay. Then this is how it worked out for her. Listen, one day while walking on the street, taking deep breathing exercises, the thought came, my mind is surely a center of divine operation. If God fills all space, then God must be in my mind also. If I want this money to study with Troward, that I may know the truth of life, then both the money and the truth must be mine. Meaning that you and God are not separate. God is source is inside you. You're not separate from source. If source is all divine, if source is all abundant, then I must be abundant. That's what she's kind of realizing. And if I'm abundant, then the $20,000 is already mine. It's mine in my 4D world. I just can't see it yet in my 3D world. Okay, no, where did I leave off here? And she said, though I am unable to feel or see the physical manifestations of either, still I declared it was mine. Okay. While these reflections were good, were, hang on, I misread it. I apologize. While these reflections were going on in my mind, there seemed to come up from within me the thought, I am all the substance there is. Then from another channel in my brain, the answer seemed to come. All of a sudden, she had like an intuition. Okay. She's doing these exercises at nighttime, morning, bedtime. During the day, she's kind of focused on this affirmation from Thomas Troward. My mind is a center of divine operation. Divine operations means expansion, expansion into more. Okay. Then all of a sudden, she has this intuitive nudge. Okay. So I'll back up here. While these reflections were going on in my mind, there seemed to come up from me the thought, I am all the substance there is. Then from another channel in my brain, the answer seemed to come. Of course, that's it. Everything must have its beginning in mind. The idea must be the only one and primary substance there is. And this means money as well as everything else. My mind accepted this idea, and immediately all the tension of my body was relaxed. I want you to pay attention here, but she says something uh, very important I want to share. While these reflections are going on in my mind, there seemed to come up. Oh, I already read that. I'm sorry. There was a feeling of absolute certainty of being in touch with all the power of life has to give. All thought of money, teacher, or even my own personality vanished in the great wave of joy which swept over my entire being. I walked on and on with this feeling of joy, steadily increasing and expanding until everything about me seemed aglow with resplendent light. Every person I passed was illuminated as I was. All consciousness of personality had disappeared. And in its place, there came the great and almost overwhelming sense of joy and contentment. I kind of love the words that she's using. This is actually how she wrote. This isn't like re-edited or anything else. But I like when she summed it up in the last sentence here. She said she had this like overwhelming joy, but at the same time, she used the word contentment. That she was content at that particular time. She was just content with her life. She was okay with it. Again, contentment means you're okay either way. If you get what you want, you don't what you want. If you don't, you're okay either way. But listen to this. This is very powerful because every time you're in this funky phase, when you're okay either way, it tends to favor what you really want. Okay. This is like an SP secret. When you're okay either way, if you attract your SP or not, more chances than not, they're attracted to you because they can sense that from you that you're okay either way. You're okay if someone likes you or they don't like you. You're okay. And they can sense that from you. It doesn't mean you're mean or rude. It just means you're giving off that feeling you're giving off. Okay, let me see. Then she said, this is where things changed for her. Then she said, that night when I made my picture of the $20,000, it was with an entirely changed aspect. On previous occasions, when making my mental picture, when she says mental picture, she's talking about when she's going inside her imagination. She's going to bed at night, she's laying down, and she's thinking. She's thinking about the $20,000, she's counting it again, and she's creating that imaginal scene. On the previous occasions, when making my mental picture, I had felt that I was waking up something within myself. This time, there was no sensation of effort. Listen to this. Okay, now she's gotten to a point where she's done this over and over and over. Like before, listen to this. Like when you jump into the law of attraction, manifesting, you first start doing this work, you're kind of attached to it. You really want it. And when you go inside your imagination, it seems forced. It's like you're trying to force these behaviors. You're trying to force yourself to be happy. You understand what I'm saying? That's what she's talking about. Like this time, it's like she finally just figured it out. This time when she laid down, she was just so natural. She wasn't forcing anything. She was just doing it. Okay. That's why she says, this time there was no sensation of effort. I simply counted over the $20,000. Then, in a most unexpected manner, from the source of which I had no consciousness at the time, there seemed to open a possible avenue through which the money might reach me. Okay. So she had a gut feeling. She had a gut feeling. She had intuition. Hey, do this. Okay. That's what I like to call like intuitive action. Okay, you have a gut feeling to do something, you follow it, you take action. You have an intuition to do something, you follow it, you take action, but that's leading you closer to what you want. And this is what I really want to share with you too. She said, at first, it took a great effort not to be excited. It all seemed so wonderful, so glorious to be in touch with supply, to be in touch with abundance. But had not Troward, she's talking about Thomas Troward again, but had not Thomas Troward cautioned his readers to keep all excitement out of their minds in the first flush of realization of union with infinite supply, and to treat this fact as a perfectly natural result that had been reached. Okay. That's what I wanted to share with you. I think that right there is another way that you keep that manifesting techniques, trying to manifest money don't work. Is because listen to what she said. Okay. Basically, things started working out for her. Okay. She started getting more confident. She's starting to have these intuitive ideas to do something. Okay, but Thomas Troward and his material and his manuscript, she's not studying with him at this point. He cautioned his readers, is don't get excited. Okay, don't show excitement. Don't show that you're happy. Like I struggled with this for years because I was kind of like, why would Thomas Troward say, don't get excited over your own manifestations? Don't get excited over your own infinite supply. Why would Thomas Troward say this? Because like lots of times we twist it. We think, well, aren't we supposed to be excited? Aren't we supposed to show joy? Okay, isn't that the feeling state Navigato talks about? You got to show feeling. You got to show like you're excited. You know what I mean. Okay, maybe you question this too. It took me a while to see this, and the reason why Thomas Troward would say, caution you, be careful about being excited. Okay. Because what happens is it's not a real feeling state. It's fake. Okay. He wants you to seem normal. Okay. Listen, if you want to manifest 20,000, 30,000, no matter what you want to manifest, you have to be normal around it. That's what Thomas Troward is saying. Okay. Okay, you know what I mean? If you have like a few thousand in your wallet, you're going, oh my god, like you're literally acting like someone who's never had 2,000 or 3,000. That's what Thomas Troward is saying. When you overact like that, you're overexcited. You're acting like somebody who don't have money. Hmm. This goes deep a little bit, huh? Okay. It took me a while to see this. Okay. Like if you have money, okay, if you're a millionaire, okay, you're a millionaire, you make $100,000 a month, you make about 1.2 million a year if you make 100,000 a month. Okay. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you're used to having $10,000 days. It's normal for you. It's normal for you, just like it's normal when you used to make $50,000 a year. You understand? Like when you go to work and have your own salary, it feels normal for you. You don't get overly excited when you get your paycheck from work, do you? It's normal for you. You act normal around it. That's why I said in the middle, and kind of in the beginning of the live, excitement is the wrong emotion that you're dealing with. Okay. The stronger emotion is you're grateful. Okay. That's a better emotion is you're grateful for everything. You're grateful for the money. You feel grateful that you have the amount of money you have. You feel grateful that you can help people that need help that you want to help. You understand? You feel grateful that you can help your family. Okay. You're grateful. You're not excited. You're grateful because excitement, that's what I'm saying in her example, excitement is the wrong emotion. Excitement is like somebody who has no money. That's how they would act. Then it's all about your subconscious behavior. Your subconscious is going to know that you've never had this money before. Okay, so let's continue on. We're almost done here. That's almost at the end. Okay, so I don't know if I read this. Let me see. At first, it took great effort not to be excited. It all seemed so wonderful, so glorious to be in touch with a supply, with infinite supply, be in touch with abundance. Everything's working out for her. That's why she's dude, that's why she's flipping excited. Okay, she's literally like it seems real for her now. In the beginning, it was like, I don't know how in the world I'm gonna get this 20K because today that's like a half a million. Okay, I have no idea how that's going to come to me. When she starts seeing how it's starting to get closer to her, dude, she's probably ready to jump out of her skin and she's trying to contain herself. Okay. But had not Troward cautioned his readers to keep all excitement out of their minds in their first flush of realization of union with infinite supply, and to treat this fact as a perfectly natural result that had been reached. That means, listen, to treat it as a perfect natural result. What natural means is you're used to this money all the time, baby. Okay, you're not going to jump up and down every time you see 20K. You get 20K all the time. You're numb around it. Okay. Okay, let me see if I want to share anything else in this chapter because I think I shared probably the most important here. Uh, just give me 1 second. I'll skim it real fast. Okay, I'll read this one paragraph and then we'll start wrapping this up. Okay. She said, just as soon as there appeared a circumstance which indicated the direction through which the $20,000 might come, remember, she had an intuition. I not only made a supreme effort to regard the indicated direction calmly as the first sprout of the seed I had sown in the absolute, but left no stone unturned to follow up with that direction until fulfilling my part. By doing so, one circumstance seemed naturally to lead to another until step by step, my desired $20,000 was secure. She got the $20,000 to keep in mind, but she said to keep my mind poised and free from excitement was my greatest effort. She's kind of hitting home on this. Like everything's coming together. It's like she's having an intuit. It's kind of what sometimes in my videos, lots like at times like I'm calling like gut feelings like puzzle pieces. It's like you have an intuition to do something. It's a puzzle piece. So you take intuitive action. You take action on that gut feeling. That takes you a step farther. then when you go a step farther, you have you have another intuition to do something, and then you take action on that, and that takes you farther. What she was doing was she was looking at it like everything was coming together for her. Okay. And she said her greatest challenge at this point, her greatest challenge was not to be overwhelmed by excitement, because Thomas Troward warned that don't be natural. The whole point of, when we talk about money here, you have to be natural around money. Okay, you want 30, you want 30, you want to manifest $30,000, $20,000, whatever. You got to be natural around money, because you have to put yourself in a position that you always have this money. You always get this money all the time. So when you always get an amount of money all the time, honestly, you kind of give two shits about it. You're just grateful. You're grateful for it. It's not that you're ungrateful, but you're not jumping up. You're not jumping around for joy. Okay. That's the whole point. The whole point is you have this all the time. So that's your natural state. So what you're trying to do is produce that natural state that you always had it. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it. All I want to share as far as like reading here. Um, uh, had some stuff written over here, but I don't know. Let me see. Just give me a second. See if anything important I want to kind of share. Sometimes I'll write stuff out, and maybe I'll share this as we wrap it up. But that's a good kind of a little bit good kind of a sum up of what she did to kind of sum up the live and stuff like that. But I just want to share that because when I went back, and I don't know, I just had an intuition to kind of go back myself and kind of read that, because what was happening in Surin, we're up in Surin. We've been up to Surin for a year now, since February. This is February 2026. We came up here February 2025. Surin is kind of getting drama now. Okay. It first kind of started off like Chad can focus on work. Chad's going to do identity work over the whole year because there's not that much to do. You understand? So that you don't have a lot of distractions and stuff. But lately, the last couple months, Surin has turned into Dramaville. And like drama for me and Aang, not just me, okay? Just because they keep on blasting music. Sometimes the music is so loud, you can't even be in the house. Okay? I'm not even joking. And that's why sometimes when I say I'm gonna go live every day, sometimes I'm not live, okay? Just because it's either too loud or I'm tired because it's loud, stuff like that. So it's kind of becoming more drama. And so Aang and I sat down and said, I think it's time to leave. I think it's time to, start planning an exit strategy. And so we sat down and talked. I think we're going to go to Bangkok. And I haven't lived in Bangkok yet. So it'd be, I've been to Bangkok, but I just haven't lived in Bangkok. So we sat down, we talked about that. We talked about kind of, okay, let's start planning an exit. Since we've been up here, we kind of came up here to take care of her dad, but her dad's health last year, he was doing horrible. Since we've been up here, his health totally did a flip-flop, which is fantastic, which is good. Okay, so we've also talked about that. Like if we lived in Bangkok, she would still be closer to Surin. It's easy for her to take a bus up to Surin. So we talked about she would probably come up here like once a month just to make sure that she could take him to the doctor. He can get his medicine, buy him some food, stay up here for a few days, then come back to Bangkok. So we sat down and kind of had all those chats and talks and stuff like that. So now, like for some reason, that kind of led into kind of helping Aang buy a house, okay, in Bangkok. So that all kind of like led into that. So now we were thinking about buying a house in Bangkok. So then I don't know why I just woke up one day. I wasn't even thinking about the invisible power because we were doing the science of getting rich. And I was like, dude, I want to go through. I couldn't remember at the time what chapter it was. I knew she had an excellent example of what I shared with you. I'll share it one more time as I wrap up the video because of those of you that just jumped on, maybe you missed the meat and potatoes of this video, of this live. So I'll give it to you again, at least give you the structure really fast, not the whole long story. But anyway, when I read through chapter 9, it kind of related to me. I kind of related. That's why I'm saying take her example and relate it to what you want. Okay. Now she manifested 20K back in the early 1900s. So what I want is 30,000. So I manifest 30,000 to go to Bangkok. Okay. Basically get down to Bangkok, buy a house. You have to buy stuff for the house and stuff like that. So I'm kind of doing the same thing, the same exact premise. I'm just putting in my own personal story, my own stuff, like basically following her kind of outline of how much money you want, 30,000. Why do you want the money? Okay. Why I want the money? Because we're moving to Bangkok and buying a house. So then I needed money for the move, mainly for like, you're going to need everything for the house. You know what I mean? You don't need a refrigerator and washer and dryer, everything. We know that. You know what I mean? So you give it like why you want it, why you need it, what it's going to be used for. But then listen to this, my bridge of incidents, I'm not going straight to the end. This is why I cautioned you about going straight to the end. Okay. With never God or going straight to the end, it doesn't apply to every situation, my friends. Okay. Because I tried it. I tried going straight to the end. What that means is I'm going straight to the end. I'm already living in Bangkok. I'm already living in a house in Bangkok. And my mind was going flipping crazy with it. Because I was contradicting myself because I couldn't see like what house I was in, where the house was located, how big the house was, what the house looked like. So it created contradiction. Okay. So I was struggling with it, and it was true. Like I didn't know what the house looked like. I didn't know what anything looked like. It wasn't like I didn't know what I wanted. It's just I didn't know what the choices were there. But then I went backwards. I said, okay, I went too far. I went too far with living in the end. I need to kind of bring it back, kind of how Genevieve did, where she just went from the very next phase. So this is what I did: is I started counting 30,000. I started with $1,000 bills to make it easy and simple. Okay, I'm not sitting there for hours of my imagination counting money. So I'm counting $1,000 bills. After that, okay, this money is for moving to Bangkok. So in my imagination, I'm having a conversation with Aang. Hey, did you buy the VIP bus tickets yet? So we can go to Bangkok. She says yes. Okay, in my imagination, I'm having this conversation. Okay, then it's like we're on the bus. We're driving up. We're driving up to Seren City, going to the bus station, waiting for the bus there. Then I'm on the bus. I've been on the VIP buses before, so I know the experience. I know what it feels like. I know what the seats feel like. I can see the TV. It's kind of like you're kind of on like a decent airplane. Okay. They feed you food there, bring you snacks. I know all this, sometimes you're not sitting right beside each other, but you're sitting a little bit farther away, but you can still talk back and forth. Okay. So we're talking back and forth. And we're excited. We're going to go to Bangkok. We get to Bangkok. We take a taxi over to her sister and brother-in-law. Her brother-in-law drives us around. We already know like 3 or 4 places we want to look at. So we look at them in person, see if we like them. We sit down and have a conversation. Like, which one do we like? Then we make a decision. Then we get it. Okay. That was the Bridget instance. Okay. That's what I did. I adjusted my living in the inn because I went too far with it because I don't know. Again, I don't know what the house looks like in Bangkok. Okay. Okay, my friends. So if you don't know, if you're struggling, it's not that you're doing it wrong. You went too far. Okay. You got to back it up where you can have the natural steps because all it is, you want it to be real for you. The more real you can make it, the faster your manifestations. Okay. Now, the one thing I did forget to share with you with Genevieve is she said I think it's in the end of chapter 9. She said that from the moment once she started counting the money, okay, and doing the imaginal scene, she manifested her money in 6 weeks. It only took her 6 weeks to manifest 20K in the early 1900s. Okay. Now, of course, now she didn't say how it came in. She didn't say what, how it came to her or whatever. She said that from the time she started to the money being in her bank, it was 6 weeks. Okay. And the thing, I feel like sharing a lot of nuggets today. The 6 weeks thing, again, going back to Neville Goddard, okay, when I read Neville Goddard's Law of the Promise, okay, and the Law of the Promise with Neville Goddard, it's all just testimonials. Like every chapter has testimonials. Okay, now granted, he's probably of course he's picking and choosing the best testimonials to be in his book. Okay, one of the things I noticed in the Law of the Promise was that I'm gonna take a sip real fast. Like all his testimonials, dude, people were manifesting huge things. Huge, not little teeny tiny stuff. Okay. Not, oh, I manifested a cup of coffee. Not, oh, I got the ladder technique to work for me. Okay. I'm talking about big stuff, 50 grand, 200,000, 100,000, big things, you know what I mean? But what I found in the Law of the Promise is all his examples, every one of them manifested within, listen to this, within 3 to 6 weeks. And even back then, when I noticed this, I started thinking about this. It's like at first in the Law of the Promise, I'm just going to tell you my first reaction. I thought all of testimonials were fake. You can laugh in the chat if you want to. I mean, I was just like, dude, are these testimonials real? Because every single person within 3 to 6 weeks, if Neville Goddard gave the time frame, it was always within 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, I was thinking, are they how? Dude, they're manifesting big shit, just like with Genevieve. She's manifesting 20K in the early 1900s, which is like almost $500,000 today. That's like saying I manifested $500,000 in 6 weeks today, right now. Okay. I mean, I'm getting ready to push like a bullshit button. You understand? Okay. And I've been doing this stuff for a long time. But what I find with these old school prosperity teachers, Thomas Troward, Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, Napoleon Hill, and there's many more guys, this is what you have to understand. This is why I believe it, is because, listen, once you really accept it as truth, once you really just believe you can have it, really believe to your core, just like what Genevieve said, is that when you really just believe it and you act natural around it, like it always happens to you, boom, it comes to you pretty quickly. Okay. Once your subconscious mind accepts it as truth, remember, what's a law of assumption? Law of assumption is whatever you believe to be true has to occur in your life. It has to happen to you. True or false, my friends, whatever you believe to be true, good or bad, positive or negative, it has to happen to you. Okay. Okie dokie. That's what you have to walk away with. I just had a brain fart. I apologize. This is a scary thing of going live, is when I record videos and have brain farts, I can just delete that little section off. But my brain will kind of come back alive here in a second. Like, what was I talking about? Or if you can comment what I was talking about, then I can continue on. But I think I was at the end of my thought anyway. Well, I know I was talking about the believing why manifestations happen within 3 to 6 weeks. Huge things. I'm not talking, dude. I'm talking about you manifest your dream house in 3 to 6 weeks. You manifest your dream car in 3 to 6 weeks. You become a millionaire between 3 and 6 weeks. You manifest 20K, 30K in 3 to 6 weeks. You turn your life around within 3 to 6 weeks. Okay. Now listen, the reason why it's taken longer than 2 to 3 to 6 weeks, between 3 to 6 weeks, listen, the reason why it's taken longer is because you're standing in your own way. You don't believe it. Okay. You just don't believe it yet. That's what's slowing everything down. You don't believe it yet. Maybe you're checking the how too much. You're trying to figure out how it's going to happen. You're slowing it down. Okay. Listen, once you just accept it as truth, once it's as accepted as natural to you, it happens within 3 to 6 weeks. As dude, I mean, I'm really listen, guys. I'm really into old school prosperity teachers, not just the 4 or 5 I named, and it's across the board between 3 to 6 weeks manifestations. The reason why it's so quick is once your subconscious mind accepts it as truth, it's going to happen. It's going to happen to you quick. Okay. If it took a year, basically what happened, it took you a year to really believe it. Mm, okay. But as we sum up this video, let me share this with you um, because these are kind of the correct structure of Genevieve, what she did, how she manifested. Listen, she did these 3 specific things just in case people are jumping on at the end. I just want to give you this nugget, kind of what we talked about for the last hour is she listen, she chose a precise amount. It was 20,000. Okay. This wasn't for abundance. This wasn't for wealth. She chose a specific amount. She was very specific on how much money she wanted to attract. It was 20K. Number 2, she knew exactly what the money was for. See, this helped her with her imagination. She knew exactly what the money was for. If she had the money, she knew exactly what she was going to use the money for. Okay. Now, again, the 20,000 was going to be for travel, living, and studying with Thomas Troward. She wasn't living in his house. Okay. So when she went to England, she had to rent a place, buy whatever. She had to rent or buy the place. I don't know if renting was popular back then. Maybe she had to buy a place. I don't know. But basically, the 20K was for traveling, living, and studying with Thomas Troward. Okay. Number 3, listen, she imagined the next real steps the money enabled. This is the walk away. When she started going inside her imagination, creating a imaginal scene, she imagined the next real steps. There were real steps that she had to take. Okay. They weren't fake. She didn't go into the end too far. Okay. Listen, this is exactly what she did. Number 3, I'll just back up a little bit. Number 3, she imagined the next real steps the money enabled. 1, she counted the money. 2, this after she counted the money, she saw herself buying the ticket, being on the ship. She saw herself arriving in London, arriving in England. Then she saw herself being mentored. She said being accepted as the first pupil of Thomas Troward. Okay. Okay. That's what I mean by real steps. These are real things that she had to do when she got the money. Okay. So in her imagination, she caused no contradiction because it was real to her, but these are real things she had to do. She was just thinking about it like forward in her imagination. Okay. Like she didn't imagine mystery outcomes, is what I'm saying. She didn't imagine, like, when you go too far to the end, like Never Goddard, when you go too far, I know I'm picking on Never Goddard right now. It's not Never Goddard. It's just some people, when you teach living in the end too far, you go too far. It causes contradiction because it's not real for you no more. It's not real for you no more, my friends. Okay, listen, she imagined concrete, believable transitions. Everything was believable for her in her imagination. Okay, that's why she manifested it. That's why it came so quick for her. Like once she really just accepted it and she did it every night, she did it every night until it became normal for her, then she accepted it, then it happened. Okay. Another thing to point out is that, sorry, like they're going to start playing music here. Not music, but they're selling something out loud. So I'm gonna have to like try to talk over it so it doesn't come into the mic here. Okay, so maybe they're not too bad. I think they're just talking, not playing music. Sometimes they're in Thailand. They're they're drive by in like a truck, but they're on like an intercom and they're talking the whole time. Because I want this live to go public. I don't want to have to take the live down because someone blasted music. That's why I just have to be careful of, because once it blasts music, the music comes into the mic, then the algorithm itself, it picks up the song, it picks up the artist, and I got to take down the video or something like that. Um, what else here? Okay, I'll share this with you. I kind of talked about it a little bit, but why going straight to the end sometimes fails. Okay, Neville's advice gets misapplied. It's not Neville Goddard himself. It's just people just teach it a little bit too extreme. Okay, listen, going straight to the end only works when the end is clear. You have experience. The end feels natural. You've experienced it before, so it's easy for you to kind of picture it. It's easy for you to see yourself at the end. Okay. What else here? I think that's it, my friends. I kind of hammered this thought pretty good. Um, but anyway, let me see. Thanks for your comment. Um, I'm glad it can, help you out. I mean, this stuff really helps me out. Sometimes a lot of that's what I'm saying. Like, grab the Power Wealth Classics on Amazon, because these books, dude, I've read for the last decade, longer than a decade. I go back to them because this is the thing. Like even in other lives, we've been going through the Science of Getting Rich, but this book, I've read this book. I've had this book for like I don't know, like 15 years, 10 years, something like that. I've read it, dude, hundreds of times. Okay, it's an easy read, but what I find is each time I read it, I'm at a different place in life. I'm at a different mindset in life. We all like to think that we've grown, as time passes. We understand things a little bit better than we did in the past. So, that's the same thing. Like when I read the Invisible Power, is I looked at it as a different way. You know what I mean? Things kind of jumped out to me, just what I was going through here in Thailand, that maybe didn't jump out to me before. Okay, that's why it's so good to kind of go through this stuff, because you just see it different. Because you're not listen, I'm not the same person I was a year ago. Okay, I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. Okay, because we all evolve. We want to think we're moving forward, we're evolving, we're becoming better, we look at things better. Sometimes, again, sometimes we're going through a gunk phase, and then we kind of go back to books and materials and stuff like that, and something else kind of jumps out, just what we're actually going through, that basically helps us stand in a fire and remain. Okay, my friends. The fire is scary sometimes. When we say we're going to do something, sometimes just remaining is scary. Uh, Lucky's over there. They're all the dogs are sleeping in here while I was talking. So I put the dogs to sleep when I was talking. So they're like scratching our door. They're like, "Get me out of here!" Like, what in the world is Chad talking about? He talked nonstop for an hour when I was trying to sleep. But anyway, tribe, I gotta go. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. Just want to share that because it's something that I was kind of going through, and I thought, oh, dude, I gotta share it with everybody, share it with the tribe, and go live with it, not just do a normal video. Uh, but but anyway, remember, I love you guys. If you have questions, drop your questions in, and even I should get. Sometimes I don't get comments. I get most of them, but technology is technology. Sometimes I miss comments here and there on YouTube, but I try to be as proactive as I can in the comments. So if you have comments on the material, even on this live stream, shoot them, and I'll answer you back. Try to help you out as much as I can. But anyway, remember, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully I can go live tomorrow, but I'll see you tomorrow and we'll continue on with the Science of Getting Rich. What chapter are we on? We're on chapter 6, I believe. Yeah, chapter 6 is How Riches Come to You. So that's a good chapter. But anyway, tribe, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out. Have a great day. I'm in Thailand. It's daytime. It's only about, oh, it's 11:50 a.m. It's almost noon. Some places it's nighttime. Um, in the United States, East Coast, it's about midnight right now. But anyway, remember, I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, and peace out.